All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Astrid, and I'm doing my policy presentation on mandatory high school until age 18, particularly in the United States. So, this concept, the idea of like mandatory schooling, is called compulsory education. And compulsory education is the period of time in a person's life in which they're legally required to be in school. This varies on the state by state basis, not a whole lot. In California, where I am currently, it's when legally have to be in school from the ages of 6 to 18 years old, and that's the same for the state of Ohio, where most of you probably are. Um, there's data. I saw some data that shows exactly the age range for every state. Some states start as young as 5, some start at 7, and then some end as young as 16 or 17. Um, Typically, compulsory education is like the last resort. So, it's like the final form of intervention if things are not working out in a country or state's education system. So, when all else is failing, they will institute a period of compulsory education. They'll decide. There are still a few countries that don't have any. Um, Not that many. I think it was only like 3 or 4. And the ROSLA, ROSLA, or the Raising of School Leaving Age, is the act that mandates an increase in the minimum age required before a student can legally be done with school. So, some certain states, probably the ROSLA will come into effect, I would imagine, at some point, if like federally there's a decision that students have to stay in school until age 18 or something, like across the whole country. Then Iowa, where you can leave at 16 or 17, that might come into play. So some differing perspectives that I found in my research. People who are for mandatory schooling until age 18, I found some stuff about that. The people who support that perspective, they talk about how compulsory education lowers dropout rates, and it increases graduation rates. And on a, sort of different level, it emphasizes the value of education and of achieving a diploma. If to these people, if you don't require someone to stay in school and get their diploma right up until they're literally legal adult age, you're like devaluing the diploma. People who are against this idea, against compulsory education until 18, they talk about how the data that I've just talked about above, the perspectives above, is dated. So maybe there actually isn't a lot of proof anymore that compulsory education until 18 does lower dropout rates or does increase graduation rates. And then also the fact that it's other factors that influence dropping out more than just the legality of doing so. So, like, for a lot of people that end up leaving school before they get their diploma, it's not the fact that they're legally allowed to. It's, they got pregnant, they found themselves in extreme poverty, they had to keep a job and they couldn't make it to school. And then the fact that, like, the quality and experience of teachers who are assigned to the students who are most likely to leave school before they're 18 is really, it's hard. I mean, they assign the most inexperienced, newest teachers to those most difficult schools, to the students who need the most support. And I think that's just, it's a terrible, the combination just often doesn't work, and the teachers burn out quickly and the students don't get the support they need. So, alignment with the NASW Code of Ethics, I would say yes and no. So the Code of Ethics states that human relationships, human dignity, and human worth, and social justice are all upheld and afforded to everyone. The concept of this is, I think, in alignment with the Code of Ethics. Importance of everyone receiving an education, universal education. I do think that, like, relationships, dignity, social justice, I think all of those things are upheld through everyone receiving an education. The idea of everyone receiving an education. That being said, the reality maybe does not align as much with the Code of Ethics because there is such a lack of equity in terms of the resource distribution, like based on school to school. I mean, I went to a good high school, a good high school. It was like a nationally ranked high school, nothing crazy, but with good experienced teachers who really liked what they do. a student population that was like pretty middle to upper middle class to even upper class. So everyone was kind of in the same zone. But there are like schools out there, there are people even like one town over from me who did not have that experience at all. Like the schools are considered bad schools. The teachers are just on like a revolving door basically. They burn out quickly. The students drop out. So essentially it all boils down to the concept of mandatory school until 18 aligns with the code of ethics. The reality and the fact that there are so many gaps in the equity between schools does not so much align with the code of ethics. So I have 2 discussion questions. What gaps need to be bridged in order to ensure compulsory education in the US better aligns with the code of ethics? And how can those gaps be bridged? Or, under the current circumstances where a college degree, not a high school diploma, is essentially the minimum required for even entry-level jobs, are there any situations in which it's actually beneficial to let someone leave school without finishing before the age of 18? And what are some of those situations? So, if you have any experience with any of those things, or any of that, would love to hear about it. And those are my references. So, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I look forward to everyone's discussions. Thank you.